Hello, everybody. I am Sylvia O'Bell, and this is the Watering Hole Media team. We are here at Higher Heights PAC activation at the DNC, and we're so happy that you all are hosting us. Higher Heights is a political action committee that's exclusively dedicated to getting more progressive Black women elected in office. Watering Hole Media is making space for the new main characters at the intersection of politics and culture. I host one of Watering Hole Media's 3 shows called Everything is Fine. It centers around issues of Gen Z. Joyelle, Nicole Johnson, and Alencia Johnson, no relation, are the hosts of Wait a Minute, a show that centers, that centers Black women. And we also have to my immediate left, Jeff Johnson, who is, all the Johnsons are here, who is the host of Tap In, Watering Hole Media's 3rd show that centers Black men. So, let's start with Higher Heights' mission to get more Black women elected. Alencia, with the what momentum do you think that Kamala Harris at the top of the ticket means as far as Black women down the ballot?
Yeah, well, I'm so excited to be here, and shout out to Higher Heights. I've had the honor to work with them over so many years, and really doing the work to not just amplify Black women who are running for office, but also support them in running for office, because it's a lot harder for Black women to raise the money, to get the resources and the support. And so shout out to Higher Heights for doing this for years, before we became in, right? Before it became cool to support Black women running for office. So look, I think Vice President Harris being at the top of the ticket, I grew up understanding Shirley Chisholm. I tend to read her autobiography like every presidential cycle, just to take in the wisdom and the lessons. And she is, I think, everything from Shirley Chisholm's wildest dreams, right, at the top of that ticket. And what she is doing, and what she has done, even before she got to the top of the ticket, as a senator, as attorney general, she has been able to help other Black women see that this is possible too. Right. And her now in this position, the highest position, is forcing folks to confront their biases when it comes to supporting Black women, other voters. It's also giving other Black women the courage to finally step into our power and actually lead, right? And I do think she's going to help the ticket across the board, so many races, and giving Black women more of a bump. The reality is, and not just Black women, but the issues that we care about that are on the ballot, since she was announced as the nominee, a lot of the polling shows that things are moving in our favor when it comes to candidates that are kind of like her, that are at the state, local level, and federal level. And so it's going to be really exciting. I think we'll see some more history, not just her, but there will be other Black women history. I mean, hopefully we'll get a Black woman in the Senate, or 2, or 3, right? Like, and that's also being bolstered because of who she is at the top of the ticket.
Right. I'm glad you brought up the Senate race, because I do want to talk about some of the other historic races.
Please welcome the Democratic nominee for Senate in Maryland, Angela Also-Brooks.
President of the United States, Vice President Kamala Harris!
Jeff, talk to me about Angela Also-Brooks. She's vying to become Maryland's first Black senator.
Yes. We
also have Lisa Blunt Rochester is also hoping to be elected to the Senate to make history in Delaware too. Do you talk to me about what you feel about seeing these movements in the Senate trying to fill the gap?
So I want to be clear about something, right? So when we talk about Also-Brooks, she's running against a former governor who's incredibly popular, Hogan. But I think that there has constantly been this desire to undervalue who she is, as often happens with women candidates. She is a single mother who is also a unbelievable elected official and public servant. And of course, there were people that said when she first started running, "You can't do this. You're a single mother. You can't be a senator. What are you talking about?"
Right.
I think what's also clear is for all of the people that clapped for Governor Wes Moore, and I chaired Governor Moore's PAC, we don't win that race without her. She was the earliest elected official that shifted other elected officials at a time when Governor Moore's name recognition wasn't as high as it needed to be. And so we have to be clear, like there are folks that are saying, can she win? No, she's going to win and she should win. And so in many cases, she aligns with Kamala being at the top of the ticket, as opposed to needing Kamala to be at the top of the ticket to drive her. She's clear about what she's brought to the state of Maryland, who she is, her value proposition, and her leadership style. And so I've been excited about her race, been excited about what she has meant to the state of Maryland, and this real communal piece that I don't think we deal with enough, which is we have a shared destiny and we need each other.
Absolutely.
And so it doesn't diminish Governor Wes Moore to say without her we don't win that race.
Right.
It actually elevates the power of our community when we align with those that we have shared destiny with.
Yes, absolutely. Did you have something to add?
Well, I just wanted to, you made me think, when you said communal, Jeff, it made me think, you know this more than I do because you were the Marylander, I'm a Virginian, hopefully one day we will have a black senator as well. But it makes me think of her primary when she was outspent by her opposition, but the ground game won because of the community, and you are narrating, you're telling the story of who she is, and I think that's the other beautiful thing about Vice President Harris is that she is disrupting the way that people see us and how we can lead. Like her joy and laugh. Michelle Obama mentioned that, like, we love that about her and the holistic humanity that we see in her, and Angela is the same way.
But that storytelling is so important because 4 years ago, Kamala Harris was told to be quiet. And we didn't tell her story, and we did not unpack that. I remember I was National Youth Director of the NAACP, and I got a call and like, yo, there's a sister who's running for district attorney in San Francisco. You got to support her. And I'm like, I don't understand this woman. And listen, when I was 17 years old, I was hired by Stephanie Tubbs Jones to work in the file room when she was the first black county prosecutor in Cleveland. And so it wasn't confusing to me that powerful women are prosecutors. The duality of Kamala to me is that she walks in a simultaneous spirit of gangsta and joy at the same time. Like she is not a punk at all. And I think people are confused. Do you know what it takes to be a district attorney, to be an attorney general? The fights that you have to engage with your own people as well as with a community that often doesn't understand who you are. She is probably more tested than any presidential candidate that we've seen. And it's such a shame that we're still having to introduce her to people, which is why I've been so happy about this week. Because the joy piece has been clear, but the fighter piece has been clear too. And I don't want people to believe that she can't walk in the duality of that.
That's right.
Yes, the duality of joy
and women often don't
gangsta.
get that.
I love that.
Men sometimes get that, but women, it's either choose one or the other.
Right.
And her duality is just what makes her so perfect for this time.
Yeah, because the thing that happens if we put the gangster out, then we're called bitches when that happens. So I like when she could tote the line, because I do too.
That was the perfect way for you to come in.
That was great.
Joyelle Johnson, everybody.
There it is.
I'm here.
Well,
with the folding chair earrings.
With the folding chair earrings.
That
and
can
the
mean quite a few
guillotine earring
things.
on the other side.
Yes.
The anniversary of the Montgomery Brawl. Yes.
But also Shirley Chisholm.
Duality.
Yes.
Duality.
You know, get you a girl that could do both.
Well, I want to talk to you, Joyelle, about one of your admittedly favorite topics. As your t-shirt says, abortion is health care. Yes. So the RNC didn't make any mention of abortion. And every day they are talking about it here at the DNC.
Yes.
What has struck you about the conversation happening this week around abortion?
I mean, I absolutely love it. I love the word. I love to say it at the top of my lungs. I'll shout it from the rooftops, abortion, abortion, abortion. And I love that that is what we are saying our issue is. And for me, I've said it before, is why we're going to get our first female president, because they overturned Roe and they were using that as their issue, and now they don't have it anymore. It's almost as if they were shocked, like, uh-oh, we shouldn't have I guess we shouldn't have done that
Oh,
because
they
now
really
we can't talk about it anymore. So they don't even want to say the word because they know that it's firing people up. Because I've done abortion work all over this country, and you go into a red state and escort people into clinics, and you'll have the protesters out protesting, and they said they will come in, bring their daughter to get an abortion, and then go right back out there and protest. So I think that's why they can't say it, because they know that they have ignited the wrong people.
Right.
I'm the wrong one.
Well, I mean, I worked at Planned Parenthood for 6 years, and also, I'm gonna just shout out Higher Heights again, because even when, you know, a lot of Black organizations weren't extremely vocal about supporting abortion rights, Higher Heights was standing there, which again is the legacy of the Shirley Chisholms of the world, right? And to this point you're making about, I have gone to those health centers, and my colleagues have said, that person protesting right there will be here next week for their checkup.
Has an appointment.
And I will say, because even so, the one piece of like the very real piece that is devastating to our communities, I mean, we're talking IVF, Black maternal mortality, all these things, but politically, it is the gift to us when they overturned Roe v. Wade. And this piece about the RNC, I was doing some media around the RNC. That whole week, those 4 days, several hours, they only said the word abortion 18 times. Previous RNCs, they would say the word abortion like hundreds of times. Because they know, to the point that the question that you're asking, this is deeply unpopular. They're skirting around total abortion bans, and then now with IVF, maternal mortality, contraception. I actually was on air one time with this anti-choice, anti-abortion activist, and she said that they want to ban contraception.
Yeah.
And the other thing that's been really fascinating about this whole conversation, Black women organized immediately. I remember when Roe was officially overturned, there was the leak, and then it was officially overturned. I was at the BET Awards. Janelle Monáe, Jasmine Sullivan, on stage using their moment to talk about the issue. But Black men are also talking about this issue. And a friend of mine who did some polling, he said that what is really pissing Black men off is the idea that the government will criminalize Black women.
Yeah.
And Black men, I mean, you can speak about that better than I can, but to my understanding, Black men ain't playing with that. And so it has actually become such a galvanizing issue, and I'm so glad that you've always been standing up for abortion rights and just about agency and freedom. And I'm so glad that we've now moved from this, we gotta defend democracy, to now we are defining freedom.
Yes.
And we're including abortion in
I'm excited though, because I think the next 75 days gives Black men a space to reimagine how they show up for it though.
Yes.
Because it's one thing for us to be angry about,
Yeah.
but there are a lot of Black men that aren't comfortable having the conversation about
sure.
abortion. Because there is still stigma, there is guilt, there is
Shame, a lot of shame.
a whole lot, and I think that we got to be able to find ways to support Black men having multiple on-ramps to this, because it's really easy. I mean, I am the father of a daughter, so it's very easy for me to show up and say, I want my daughter's right for her to choose whatever she wants for her body. That's an easy talking point. There's not a lot of discomfort there.
That's right.
When brothers can show up and literally say, I thank God that she chose an abortion because it gave me my life.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Like that's uncomfortable for a lot of people. Like that was the first time we heard something up in here.
Yeah.
So it's like, but why aren't we having that
That's right.
conversation?
Because that's what it does. Exactly to your
Yes,
point.
and so I'm excited, and Joyelle, please, I want to work with you. Like, how do we figure out multiple on-ramps for men to have safe spaces to talk honestly about what abortion has meant to them, what they believe, that they want it not just for their mothers and their sisters and their aunties, but actually for their sons.
Yeah.
I have 4 boys, and my 21 and 22-year-old son, I'm like, they just wake up doing dumb stuff. I want them to be able to exist in a world where family planning isn't defined through a moral lens that they don't subscribe to, versus being available through every option that makes every person as healthy as they want
As
to be,
healthy.
and their family as healthy
Yeah.
as they want to be. So I'm hoping we figure out more ways for us to on-ramp to that through authentic storytelling, because we need that.
Yeah, and we need men to be involved because we can't get pregnant without y'all. So,
Well, there's that
There's
part.
that part. They are part of the process.
It's so interesting because they're like, I love Black women because we will say the thing that some people don't want to say. And I remember Jasmine Sullivan said at the BET Awards, and she's like, and some of y'all men in here too have benefited from abortion and don't even know it. But like, you are able to be here in your success.
yes.
Because you may or may not know the decision that someone that you've been with has made, and not to shame that decision,
No.
but just to talk to your point, this uncomfortable conversation around it. But I want to be very clear, it's an uncomfortable conversation, but just because you're uncomfortable doesn't mean you're not safe.
That's right.
Or that your feelings aren't valid. But like, it's okay to be uncomfortable. Because if we actually had these uncomfortable conversations a long time ago, maybe this wouldn't have happened in the way it did. And I'm not putting the onus on us, but so many more of us would have been comfortable talking about these in public spaces. My daddy's a pastor, and here I was running around here advocating for abortion rights.
Yeah.
I was the Black abortion lady. And then I was like, oh wait, Daddy, how you feel about this? And he was like, I mean, honestly, I just want you to be safe at any decision you make. But that was the first time I had heard him and my mother actually having this conversation. Eventually they started having these conversations in the church and started freeing a whole lot of people. And I'm like, wow, it took me going to work for Planned Parenthood, for my family, who is supportive of all of these issues, to actually start to have the conversation. So that gets to the point that you're talking about, Jeff, of like, we gotta on-ramp folks, and however way possible, we have to do it.
Yeah, and I also love this also being framed when it comes to the inclusion of men as a Black family issue and not just a woman's issue, in the sense that this is also impacting pregnant women who were intentionally trying to get pregnant but may have a dangerous pregnancy or may have to, a life-risking service, and men saying like, I need my wife to live through this, and I think that like that part also gets erased sometimes from the conversation. And I love that they did have a man on stage, I think it was Tuesday, when they talked about this, when they had the spotlights at the convention.
Yes.
And the husband was on stage talking about how him and his wife had to terminate the pregnancy for her to survive.
Yeah.
And I think with the maternal rate being what it is for us already as is, to lose this option on top of that, I don't even know what those numbers would look like. But
It's gotten worse.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, there's a direct correlation in the outcomes based on the states that have abortion bans. And also, majority of our HBCUs are in states that have restrictions and abortion bans.
That is so true.
And that's a connection a lot of people are making,
Yes.
right? So, we are the states with high populations of Black folks are in these states with these abortion bans. And if you're shutting down an abortion healthcare center, you're shutting down wherever they're going for breast cancer screening,
Yes.
cervical cancer, like all of those things. And so the numbers were already moving even before Roe was overturned, and now it's exacerbated even more.
Yeah, and also the point about how people try to shame us, people who've had an abortion, I've had one, and tell us like, Black genocide, things like that, which is just taking the agency away from women making our own choice. So there's no such thing as that, and I hate when people say it because I made the choice, and I was
Right.
thankful to be able to do that at a time that, it was allowed, and I made that choice because I have agency over my body. So I want everyone to be able to have agency over their bodies, especially women.
Yeah. Imagine that.
Imagine that.
Okay, so talking more about the DNC this week, everybody at home has seen the primetime speeches, but that's just part of the action that's happening here. Like, I want to talk a bit about what the experience has been for you all here on the ground. What type of conversations are you having with people? What are you learning this year?
Well, I will start.
I'm like, whoever wants to take it first.
Both of y'all looked at me.
I don't know why. The energy just went
It
this
just-
way.
So y'all could think.
I am a man at a women's conference. I'm not going first.
You're not interrupted us.
Stand with Black women, because Black women lead.
Yeah.
So it's funny, I actually started my political career here in Chicago in 2012, working on President Obama's re-election campaign. I think that's actually when we met, Jeff, because you were a great surrogate. He always answered the call when I was like, I need somebody to go on radio or TV talk about this. Jeff, say yes. And so I actually got emotional walking past that office the other day, like going to lunch. I was like, oh my God, not just because of my career, but wow, this is where Chicago is what gave us the first black president. Chicago gave us Jesse Jackson. And Chicago is about to give us President Kamala Harris.
The Nation of Islam, the Black Panther Party.
The Black Panther Party, all of those things, that through line. And that's why it was so amazing for them to honor Jesse Jackson and that movement. And to be honest, to be chaired by a black woman, shout out to Mignon Moore, shout out to the colored girls who their work is the reason that I am able to be a black woman political operative. And so it is seeing all of that happening, but I'm feeling it from people who are here, their first times here.
Yeah, it's my
right?
first time.
And the excitement, right? Like the excitement of, and it's a lot of black women, but it's a lot of people who are excited because what people are feeling is similar to 2008, 2012, and like there's hope and change and that we can do this. But it's also like, we know we have to work and everybody's ready to work, right? Because in 2016, folks were like, yeah, we got this, and they weren't ready to work.
Right.
But that's also a different kind of organizing. White ladies organize a little differently than black folks do. But everyone is not only excited, but they are like, I have what I need to go back home and get involved.
Yeah, it's my first time. I'm so excited. I popped my DNC cherry in the best possible way. And I mean, you know, I was sitting next to you while Michelle Obama was speaking, screaming at the top of my lungs,
Like
but
you would, that
also crying.
crying, screaming, like we were at the Renaissance World Tour all over again. But it was felt that way.
Yeah, and I just feel so energized because, you know, thank you, President Biden. I appreciate you for everything you did. Thank you for forgiving my student loans. But I didn't even realize I was going to be this I haven't been this excited in a long time, you know? So I'm just pure excitement and joy, like the epitome of my name. When I was depressed for, you know, the first half of the year.
Yeah.
So we got whiplash now. And
No, yeah, I think there's like a sense of shock and like things like people kind of just like deliriously like, this is happening, it's happening, like still processing it in real time because it did all take a turn so quickly.
yeah.
Are you guys having conversations like,
Well,
Jeff, are you
yeah,
having
I wanted
conversations
to
about
chime because this is not my first convention.
Right.
Boston was my first convention. So Boston and Denver and what I was afraid that this convention was going to feel like 16.
Oof, I remember that one.
And now it feels a little bit more like 08, but sober. Because I think 08 was a level of euphoricness that blinded us to our post-convention responsibility and post-election responsibility. I think that there are people that now feel like we can make history and do work. We can support Kamala Harris as President of the United States and hold her accountable as President of the United States.
Absolutely.
And that we don't have to trade one for the other. But what I've enjoyed most, because people watching TV don't realize this is a very contained, curated activity. Part of it is a pomp and circumstance. Part of it is a party process. Because the folks on the floor are delegates, and those delegates are elected, and they represent their state, and they're voting on things, and they're making decisions that in large part only impact those that are part of the Democratic Party. Then the rest is a commercial for the rest of the nation on who the Democrats are and what they want to do. But what I have loved is talking to black male service workers and brothers who are around the perimeter of the convention, and brothers that are working either valet or bartending these events that aren't directly part of the DNC but surrounding it, because I want to know how they feel.
Right.
And so I heard a brother say to me, man, I didn't know I was going to be excited when Kamala was selected.
Yeah.
One brother said, I'm not even fully sure yet why. No, seriously. He said, when I look at her, though, she reminds me of my aunt.
Yes.
And so there is this communal piece with brothers in particular that don't care about politics, but care about their family.
Right.
And so there are other brothers that I'm talking to about, well, what do you care about most? And we know the work that Terrence is doing to poll black men. Black men are the least polled demographic in America.
Right.
We also have the lowest life expectancy of any group in America, which seems strange, right? How do you address the lowest life expectancy when you don't know nothing about them? And so talking to brothers, I don't ask, are you gonna vote? I ask, what do you care about?
That's right. That's right.
I'm not asking who are you voting for. I'm asking what pisses you off, scares you, or excites you enough to think that you need to vote. And so I've heard everything from, man, I can't, this guy, he was 23 years old. He said, I just had a baby girl. He said, I can't be the father to her I want to be if I don't at least go to the polls. So that was one thing, right?
Yeah.
And then lastly, another brother said, man, listen, I hate Trump so much that I just don't feel like I could live with myself if I didn't vote.
Wow.
And so there's this breadth and depth of, but so often those are the invisible voices.
Voices, yeah.
And so
yeah.
that's what I've enjoyed the most, is having those conversations, whether they stop me or whether I stop them.
Yeah, and
I talked to a 14-year-old black boy named Noah, who's one of the youngest people to be invited to the DNC, and he confronted a white supremacist on issues, and I was like, to see that confidence in a young black man,
I love
for
it.
him to be able to do that, and I just felt so empowered. I mean, he did call me auntie, and I wasn't ready for that transition in my life. But I was like, I'll be your auntie, and I want to protect. Listen, you know, I mean, you got
Young auntie.
I'm young auntie.
I get it.
Fashionable auntie, but
I feel the same.
Yeah, it was respectful. But just to see him so confident, the way he walked into the room, head high, chest out, made me stand up straighter. You know, and I was like, oh, the youth is energized. He's like, I can't even vote, but he's here because he's ready for when he can vote and then run for office.
I love that he even has the language to do these things at 14.
Yeah.
That's so
Yes.
amazing.
That confidence. And like, Jeff, I'm so glad you mentioned that. I have found myself being more present with people, even today in my Lyft over here. So many things were happening this morning. That's why a little delayed. But the Uber driver, black man, he was like, so are you here for the convention? He just starts, he's so excited. And I'm like in my phone, you know, when you're trying to do 500 things. And I'm like, just stop for a second and engage him on this conversation. And I'm telling him about what I do. And he thinks it's so cool. And then it takes me back to, I was in a hospitality suite one night, and there were some black women who were, you know, the hosts there and the bartenders, and they were just so excited. And it was just natural to have this conversation that I think sometimes in the space, people who are invited here that are working, like myself, we can take for granted. But for black people to see this and to experience it and to have that perspective is what I take home and reminds me of who I'm supposed to be engaging with over these next 70-some days to Election Day. Because to the point that we're talking about, it's community. And we know this about black votes, it's about issues and not the candidate. And this is the time with Kamala at the top of the ticket, it's the issues and the candidate. But I think we've gotten to this place because we've led with the issues, right? Even before she became the nominee, folks were like, black folks I talked to were like, look, y'all overturned Roe v. Wade, you got Project 2025. I don't care if it's a rock at the top of the ticket. I'm showing up. I'm showing up. And then she came along and this together. So just that community piece is really important, and it's a reminder. And if anyone listening hasn't talked to someone who is not here working, but you know, they are around and making all of this happen, having those conversations, especially tonight, will be really empowering.
Yes, well, I think that's a great note for us to end on. Thank you so much.
Well, let's say this real quick, right? Because we keep being asked, what are we saying to people who don't plan to vote?
Right.
And with black men in particular, you ain't gotta like nobody.
True.
You don't have to be excited about them.
Right.
You don't even have to trust them. Whoever gets elected is gonna spend money, appoint judges, and support legislation. spend money, appoint judges, and support legislation. I'm telling brothers, and especially those that aren't political scientists, is like, which person is gonna kill you least?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not who are you most excited about.
Right.
Because if you can't motivate people based on trust, then motivate them based on the reality that not turning out is giving away somebody else's power. So thank you so much to Higher Heights for having us. This has been fantastic.
Yes, thank you, Higher Heights, for having us. Also, be sure to follow, like, and subscribe Watering Home Media on YouTube and your favorite social media platforms. And we hope everybody has a great day. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you,
Thank
Sylvia.
you. Thank you, Sylvia.